This year you're playing at I Love Techno in the sort of old school room with Rob Hood and DJ Bone. It's sort of old school lineup.
We're not old school. We're just going to show you what old school and new school is together. Plus 1 + 1 equals the best.
Okay, my question was, if you wanted to make a lineup like that yourself, who would you be putting on the bill?
That's a tough question to answer because you put me on the spot, and there's so many different people, talented-wise, that I could pick. But I guess I would start probably with Jeff Mills, and I would go with myself, and I would go with possibly Laurent. I would go with Kevin Saunderson. I would go with a DJ that's no longer here on the planet. He died a few years ago, Ron Hardy. I would go with a lot of different people, you know, but that's a very interesting concept. Who would I pick? You know, it's endless to say, honestly.
And from new artists, who interests you the most this moment with the new releases?
No one. I'm very, very limited on new artists. I honestly think that DJ Gregory is not really a new artist. I've always enjoyed his music. I could say Joris Voorn is great. You know, there are a couple of artists that I think that are trying to do something unique. But I think for the most part, I think a lot of the guys that have always been making records still continue to make good records. I still think that Carl Craig makes great records. I mean, I think that here it is 15 years later, and Carl's still making great records. I mean, that's a sign of like a true artist, a true classic, you know, professional. And I think that when I think of new people making music, I kind of put them to that level. I say, okay, here's a guy that's making records 15 years, and he still continues to make great music. So who can really stand up to that? And not a lot of guys can. So I mean, the guys I mentioned are good. I think Robrica has made some great records. I think there are some guys out there, but when I see it at first sight, the first name that comes to me would be Carl. You know, still at this moment, he's not a new artist by any means, but he's still a benchmark for artists to reach for.
Techno has changed a lot. What's the most important change in those past 10 years, according to you?
Well, I think the name Techno has really become shit, and I think that it has a lot to do with the fact that the brand, Techno as a brand, as a label, has really taken a beating. And the reason I say it's taken a beating is because so many people have used the name to make anything. You know, I mean, anybody with a computer and some basic software basically can make a record, and they would call it Techno. And I think in the long run what's happened is that it's really hurt the brand. It's hurt the real true esteem and true sort of level of like prestige that went with being a techno music artist. I think that you could see that impact in guys even like Moby, for instance. Moby, you know, he called his music electronica. I mean, why would the guy call his music electronica when he's such a fan of techno music? It's because he basically didn't want to be associated with anything that was techno because it would have hurt him as an artist to move forward. And it's really sad that techno has went through such a dilemma, you know, because there's so many great people that make such good music and really believe in this concept of technology and techno music. But in the process, you know, so many other people, especially on another level, the business level, have like really said, time out, we don't really want to work with it because it doesn't move, it doesn't go forward. So my thing has always been to save the world from bad music. And I do that through many means. I mean, I have my label Transmat. I DJ around the world constantly. From time to time I do remixes, and I try to help and develop young artists and give people encouragement along the way. But
how come you don't have any new productions yourself anymore? Will you never make a new record, or?
I'm not really interested in making records. For me, I've made records. I've sold a lot of records. I've done really well. I mean, I'm really happy with my career. I can't really complain. I've made some of the greatest records in the world, you know, and I'm not complaining right now. I mean, when I want to make a record, I will make a record. I'm not interested. It's something that still is very interesting for me, but I just want to do it when I want to do it. I'm not going to let anybody.
You're not in a hurry.
I'm not going to make anybody. Nobody's going to force me. But what I do in the process is I work with young people. I take young guys and I help them and I develop their careers, and that's more interesting to me than anything.
What are the plans with Transmat for the moment?
Transmat is still doing very well. We don't sell many records at the moment in Europe because distribution at the moment in Europe is like everything else. You know, the economy, the world, everything is a little bit strange at the moment. But Japan is where we really do a lot of great things, and we've been working with all of Southeast Asia, just trying to develop that as much as possible. So that's where I really push Transmat. I would call it Trans-Asia, you know what I mean? That's basically what it's become.
Okay. You know Danny Rampling, I guess?
Of course.
Did you hear he stopped recently DJing and he opened a restaurant? Do you have any like plans when you decide to stop? What do you want to do afterwards?
I'm going to open up a porno shop. Definitely going to get a porno shop, have lots of big dicks and big asses.
In Detroit?
Great. No, I'm going to open it up right here in Belgium where it's like a liberal place, you know, socialist mentality. It can really work well, you know. No credit cards, of course, cash only. No, I don't know what I'm going to do. I mean, making music is what I do. I'm going to do it to the end. I never did this for the fashion of it. I never did this for the trend of it. I never did this because it was something fun to do. I do this because this is what I do. I'm not just DJing, but recording it, producing it, looking for young artists, developing them, doing a festival in Detroit. You know, this is what I do, and this is what I will do until the day I can no longer do it.